Hello, everyone. Come on in. So excited to have you here. Today, we are going to be going over how to stop snacking and overeating, especially throughout the day, but also at nighttime. So, today, we're going to be filming for our YouTube as well as our podcast. So, a lot of people that are going to be joining today from all different angles. So, we're going to get into it how to stop snacking and overeating, whether it's during the day or at night. So there's four components that I'm going to walk through today. I'll go through every single one and then I will summarize it all at the end. So this is for you whether you just want to have more energy, you want to feel more productive throughout the day, you want to feel better in your body, maybe reduce bloating, or even hit some fitness goals like building muscle and losing body fat. So the very first thing we need to do in order to stop snacking and overeating is one, identify what our relationship with food is. And so what I mean by that is there's a couple things. So first of all, do you count calories or macros right now? If you are someone that does this and by the end of the day, at the end of the night, you look at your phone, you see, I went over my calories, and then you sort of self-sabotage because you're like, screw it, doesn't really matter. The next day, I'm going to start again. And then you eat more and you snack. This is kind of a culprit. And another thing would be looking to your macro calculator or calorie calculator to tell you how much to eat, even if you're not hungry. So no matter what, if you're someone that does calorie count right now and you're finding that you're noticing you're snacking or overeating a lot at night, especially from like an all or nothing mindset, this could be one of the culprits, and it actually would be a really great idea to try to throw the calorie counter away. And I know that might seem scary. However, if you have been for the longest time trying to rely on a piece of software to tell you how much to eat, and you cannot for the life of you just eat in a way that actually feels good, I highly suggest throwing the calorie calculator or macro calculator away for a month and trying to intuitively eat. And I'm going to walk you through how we can do that in our other steps. Now, if you're someone that doesn't macro count at all, you have no idea what you're eating, and you find yourself overeating a lot at night or during the day, you're snacking, then I actually would suggest to macro count. And the reason for this is because a lot of the times we don't actually understand how much we're eating and how much you should be eating. And therefore, a lot of the times we're actually under eating or not eating the right nutrient dense foods that will actually keep you full and satiated. So I will give you an example. One of my clients, I'll just call her Jessica, just so I don't say her name out here. But one of my clients, Jessica, she essentially was really hungry all the time. She was snacking. She could not figure out why, even though she was eating quote unquote healthy and whole foods. And I actually had gotten her to macro count for a week. And one of the things that we found and identified was that she actually was not eating enough carbohydrates. Protein, with goes without saying, a lot of people don't eat enough protein at all, especially my female clients. However, when it comes down to carbohydrates, she was not eating enough carbohydrates throughout the day. And so what happened was she had all these sweet cravings and sugar cravings later at night. And a lot of her carbohydrates that she was then getting were from very, very calorie dense foods like sweets and chocolate, because she wasn't actually eating enough carbohydrates throughout the day from a volume standpoint. And so with that being said, we then made an adjustment to actually eat volume wise more carbohydrates. So things like more potatoes, rice, more vegetables, things that were still delicious and nutrient dense. And it really helped her stay full and satiated throughout the day. So if you're someone that doesn't really understand how much you're eating right now and you find yourself snacking and you don't calorie count or macro count, actually implementing this would be something that would be very beneficial for you. If you have no idea how to do that and you're like, I don't even know how much to eat, that overwhelms me. This is all stuff that I actually go over in my 28-day glow up challenge right now. So inside the school community, you're going to get free access to a video that's going to walk you through how to actually count macros, how to understand how much you should be eating so that you can stay full and satiated throughout the day. Okay, the other notes on your relationship with food are you skipping meals or saving calories? This is a very common culprit for snacking later at night. 5 or 6 years ago, when I would overeat at night and I would literally down like a tub of ice cream, would be because I was skipping meals and I was trying to save my calories for later. I was so worried that I was going to overeat and overhit my calories. I was also calorie counting at the time, that I would try to eat 300 calorie meals, I would get like the 60 calorie wraps, the, everything that was just like the lowest, smallest amount of food that I could possibly eat so that I could hit my calories. And obviously, then what happened was I was starving. I was so hungry that after a few days, I would just eat anything that I could get my hands on because I was undernourishing myself. And so you are overeating and snacking at night because you're not eating enough food, and you're not eating enough food in the day because you're overeating and snacking at night. So it is a cycle. And I know it can be really scary to eat more food earlier in the day. However, especially as a female, it is super crucial for your hormones, for your hunger levels throughout the day to actually consume more food. And I will get to that in a second. Finally, are you, just trying to eat like the lowest calorie meal? So I used to think that eating healthy was like eating a Caesar salad with barely any chicken, or, having a very, very, very low nutrient dense food and the lowest calories possible so that I could, hit my fitness goals. And so we need to get rid of this association that eating healthy is always tied to eating less food. Just because you're eating less food and you're eating healthy doesn't actually mean you're eating right for your body. And if you are finding yourself uncontrollably snacking, lots of cravings, not really understanding why, it often will come down to you not fueling yourself properly. And we need to make sure that we are matching our nutrition and our macros to what your body actually needs. So like I said, I do go over this in the Glow Up Club. So if you're watching, I'm going to reshare this later and just comment Glow Up, and I will send you the link to join that. Number 2, so this is actually our tip now. So now that we've understood what our relationship with food is and what those patterns of behavior are around food, we can go into implementing some things to stop this overeating and stop snacking. So first of all, we need to eat more food earlier in the day. So if you're someone that intermittent fasts, or maybe you're really busy, you have a very busy schedule, and you skip breakfast because you're running out of the house to go to work, or you skip lunch because you're not leaving your desk in between meetings, this is going to impact your hunger levels. It's going to impact you overeating at night, and therefore make it harder for you to hit your fitness goals or just generally have the energy that you're looking for. So in your first meal, breakfast should have minimum 30 grams of protein in a day. Most women, when they calculate their macros based on a maintenance, will need around 100 grams of protein a day or more. So that means if you were eating 3 meals a day, your first meal needs to have 30 grams of protein. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for you to get that in later in the day. And you are not going to be as full or as satiated as you could be to set you up for success. The second thing is to recognize that, yes, it might seem a little bit scary to eat more food earlier in the day. However, the reason that you're snacking, the reason that you're overeating, eating more than you want to, is because you're not eating enough food earlier. And so if you want to break that pattern, we need to start making a change and implementing something. And I used to be an intermittent fasting person. I was doing it so that I only had to eat 2 meals and so I could eat less calories. And I did that for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I was always finding myself in this cycle. I would be fine throughout the day, and then 8 p.m. would hit. I'd have my dinner. I'd hit my calories that I was supposed to be eating, but I was so hungry. So I'd open the cabinet cupboards in the kitchen. I try to find any crackers, any treats, anything to just satisfy my hunger. And then even when I wasn't hungry anymore, I would still keep eating because I just had food on my mind constantly. So if you feel like that's you and you're always having food on your mind, you're always thinking about the next meal, you're not able to stop snacking, and you are someone that skips meals, implementing a high protein filling breakfast, not intermittent fasting, eating within about an hour of waking up, that is going to do wonders for your hunger levels later on. So just to explain more about why we get hungry, we have 2 hunger hormones. So we have ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin increases your appetite, your hunger hormones, and leptin decreases your hunger hormones. So when you actually go longer in between meals, intermittent fasting wise, for men specifically, it actually is meant to decrease your ghrelin. So it's supposed to help you with your hunger. However, women operate a lot differently than men. specifically in our biology. And so while intermittent fasting can be really helpful, if you're someone that is skipping breakfast and not eating enough food in the day, it actually could be because it's doing you more harm than good from a hormone perspective, from a hunger hormone perspective, as well as cortisol and stress that's put on our bodies. So when we actually, like I said, increase the time between our meals, our leptin is going to decrease. So we are going to feel hungrier. So if we start to implement more consistent meal times, so making sure that we're not waiting more than 3 to 4 hours in between meals, your hunger is going to be managed because your leptin levels would be increased, ghrelin will decrease. You are going to understand when you will be eating next. So you will be way less likely to go and snack because you say, hey, I know I'm eating in an hour. I'm actually just going to wait for that rather than going and trying to pick at everything that's in my kitchen. And you're also going to have a ton more energy because you're balancing your food throughout the day rather than having the largest 2 meals because you haven't eaten in other times of the day. So, as our third point, having more consistent meal times, not waiting more than 3 to 4 hours apart. So, let's say, for example, 9 breakfast, 12 lunch, 3 p.m. snack, 6 p.m. dinner, and having smaller meals throughout the day rather than 1 or 2 massive meals because you are still likely going to feel hungry after those. And then the fourth thing I want to touch on and explain is really the difference in our biology between men and women. So, with intermittent fasting, with a lot of studies out there, if we take Harvard, for example, in Harvard's database, there are 71 studies around intermittent fasting. Only 13 of those, okay, 13 out of 71 talk about women and are about women. And a lot of them are about pregnant women with intermittent fasting. So that just goes to show you a very small portion of the massive gender inequality when it comes to research on health and best practices with nutrition. And a lot of them don't take into account how female bodies differ in compared to men's, especially when it relates to our hormones. And if you think about it, hunter-gatherer societies, way long ago, the man was the role to go and get food, to go make sure that the family was fed. And so their bodies were naturally trained to be fasting, to not have food in their system, to be able to go long periods of time to get the food for the others. Whereas the women were at home, they were taking care of their children, and the longer they would actually not have food, the more of an impact it would have on their bodies. And studies showed that their metabolism actually was negatively impacted. So with that being said, when it comes down to eating, the big thing is a lot of the research out there around intermittent fasting and skipping meals and certain times of day are predominantly based on male body. So when we look at food throughout the day, eating more earlier on is going to make a massive difference in your ghrelin leptals. So ghrelin levels, which means it's going to decrease. Your hunger hormones are going to be decreased, and therefore you're going to be much better able to manage your energy throughout the day and your food and not be snacking and overeating. So I'm just going to quickly recap what the main action items are. If you are someone that constantly snacks, constantly overeats, you have a ton of food cravings, you can't figure out why, even if you feel like you're eating healthy and you just want to have more energy and you want to feel better in your body and hit your fitness goal that you want to hit, these are the tips that we need to look at. Number 1, identify what your relationship with food is. So understand, are you calorie counting, and is that actually the thing that's causing you to snack and overeat even when you're not hungry? If you're not calorie counting or macro counting, maybe you should implement that so you actually understand and educate yourself on, maybe I'm not eating enough protein. Maybe I'm not eating enough carbohydrates. Number 2, eating earlier in the day, having a breakfast, minimum 30 grams of protein. Number 4, meal times, not going more than 3 to 4 hours in between meals to manage your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, and make sure that you're actually eating food that's going to fuel you rather than just trying to find the quickest snack in the cupboard when you are hungry. And fourth and finally, truly understand the difference between male and female biology, and that when we see things like intermittent fasting or skipping meals, that a lot of the time is based on a male biology. And if you are a woman and you are actually intermittent fasting and you already experience a lot of stress, by you not eating, this can actually increase your cortisol, increase stress on the body, and make it harder to lose the fat and build the muscle that you really want to build. So as a recap, those are the 4 things. If you are finding that you want some more education, more support, and you want to finally start building your defined body, building your resilient mind, and actually stay consistent, then come join us in the Glow Up Chub, the Glow Up Club, not Chub, the Glow Up Club. It is a free school community. We also have a 28-day challenge going on right now, which is all around that. It's going to give you information on how much you should eat. It's going to give you at home and gym workouts. You're also going to have an amazing community of like-minded women all working towards the same goal. We started the challenge on Monday and there's already so much fun stuff happening in there. So comment Glow Up on this when I repost it and I will send you the link to join. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, whether you're listening on our podcast, on our YouTube, or on our Instagram. Just so grateful to have you here and for you to be listening and take some action items away that we can implement so that you can be the best version of yourself. And I can't wait to see you in the next video.